Hi, I'm Michelle Sargent, your host, and welcome to Glow Through Life Transitions. Today I have some lovely experts with me who are actually speakers and authors. Pat Duckworth and Kay Newton, welcome to our show.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And what we like to do is get a little bit about your background first. So, Pat, will you start by telling us a little bit about your background?
Sure, I'm based here in the UK, and for over 30 years I worked in public service. I worked in the government, working my way up to being a senior civil servant and thinking that was everything I wanted to be. And then one day crying on my way to work and realizing that I needed to do something different. And I decided to retrain. I became an NLP master practitioner and a cognitive hypnotherapist, started seeing clients one-to-one, and then in 2012 I wrote my first book, Hot Women Cool Solutions, all about making that transition through menopause.
Oh.
And from that I've become, I went on to write several books with Kay that we'll be talking about, and I've written several books of my own, and Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo became became a #1 international bestseller. And I've traveled the world doing public speaking. So this second part of my life has been enormous fun. And that's the message I have for women: is it doesn't matter what age you are, something you want to do, you can get out there and do it.
Love it. And how about you, Kay?
Well, how can I follow that? I mean, what story, eh? So I did my crying when I was in my 20s. I worked in retail in the UK. I'm originally from the north of England. And I decided to get on a boat, a private yacht, and sail it from Hull Marina in the north of England to Mallorca in Spain. And I tell everybody I never swam back. I've been in Mallorca for the last 35 years. I have two boys. They were both born here, are both now 22 and 25. And when they got to the ages of around 10 or 11, I realized that they were going to leave home eventually. I was doing a pretty good job as a mum, and they would definitely be flying the nest. And I just decided I needed to do something else. So I trained as a personal development coach, and I've been coaching for the last 15 years. I've also written some books. I've got some books out at the minute on downsizing and also on cleaning organically. I had a great experience 4 years ago. My husband got offered a job in Zanzibar in Tanzania. And so we literally sold our big, luxurious house, our 6-bedroomed home, and downsized to a 2-roomed, tin-roofed house near the beach in Zanzibar with just 20 kilos of luggage. And we've never looked back. So now we have a small home again back in Mallorca, but it's a simple life now.
That's lovely. So it sounds like you guys have both experienced and written a book about empty nesting. And could you tell us a little bit about your experiences and when it truly hit you?
So I have a son a little bit older than Kay's sons. My son is now 31, and when he finished school at 18, he had a gap year because he hadn't quite decided what he wanted to do. So he was at home for a year. He finally left when he was 19. And I still remember the day he was going off to university down in Canterbury, which is only a couple of hours drive away, and he didn't want his mum going. So it was his dad who drove him down there. And I thought, I'm going to be so miserable that I might as well do the ironing, because the ironing makes me miserable. So I might as well just double the misery and do the ironing. And I didn't really need the steam squirter on the iron, because I was crying and it was dropping on my washing. And so I kept it together, and my husband came back, and I thought, well, he's going to be really strong. He's going to think, what's wrong with you? And he walked in through the door, and we both burst into tears and hugged each other.
That's
So,
sweet.
so that was it. Now, you know, Kay has got a much better story than that. But 3 years on, he came home from university. He'd graduated. He graduated as a nurse, a mental health nurse,
Mm.
and he was home for 6 days. He left home again to go and live in London, and I won't say we haven't seen him since, but he hasn't lived here since, because, as Kay said, it's all about preparing them so that they do fly the nest and that they're comfortable grown-ups who can go and live their own lives. So over to Kay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
having two boys as well is interesting, and living in Spain particularly. Here in Spain, the culture is such that the kids tend to stay at home. When we joke, we stay until at least they're 33. And even if they're married, they stay at home. And so I remember having coffee with a group of Spanish friends while the kids were at school one day. And I said, my kids will leave home at 18, at which they were absolutely shocked. It was like, this is impossible. You can't do that. That's cruel. And I said, no, if I've done my job properly, they will leave home at 18. When in fact, they both left home before that. My youngest left home at 17 and my youngest at 16, both to go into education, but education in the UK. So they left home earlier than I anticipated they would do. But I was okay about it because I'd already made a plan. I'd already foreseen the fact that in nature, the birds hatch and they fly the nest, and you will have an empty nest, and you've got to find something to fill the gap. So I'd already started doing that before they left home.
And what was that you did beforehand?
I started training as a personal development coach. So I had a business because I was a stay-at-home mum before that. And so it was, and then of course it all fell into place with our expedition or our adventure down into Zanzibar. And so we literally got rid of the home, so they had no nest to come back to.
I think Kay went to Zanzibar because I had gone to visit her for the first time ever. She met me, and the very day she met me, she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm moving to Zanzibar." And I thought, well, that's a bit extreme. You've only just met me.
And we've been good friends ever since.
That's wonderful. Well, it sounds like you guys handled it pretty well. But what are some symptoms or signs, and when should someone be worried with what's going on and that they're not handling it well? I mean, crying is inevitable, whether you know it's coming or not. But what else are some symptoms possibly?
Yeah. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
You've got a really good list. If you start crying, it's fine. It's just if the crying continues for numerous days or even 2-3 weeks, and that's when you get worried. When your normal life stops and you can't seem